Ladies and gentlemen, the Pro Bowl vote was a disgrace. Welcome back to the channel, and I'm really upset about this Pro Bowl thing. How can Patrick Mahomes not be a Pro Bowler, people? It is laughable. First of all, let me say that the NFL also incorporated fan vote into this year's Pro Bowl, so I'm not going to put too much credence into it or lose too much sleep, but it's absolutely ridiculous that Patrick Mahomes did not make the Pro Bowl over one Joe Burrow, right? And I'm going to speak specifically to some numbers here. Let's just speak about him compared to Joe and even Josh Allen. So let's talk about their individual stats, right? Yes, they do have more total touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes, especially Joe Burrow. He does. He has 42 passing, Patrick Mahomes has 26. He has 1 rushing, Patrick Mahomes has 2 rushing. However, ladies and gentlemen, listen, and you have to understand this. Stats only show you a part of the truth. They don't show you all the truth. In comparison to those 2 quarterbacks, right? Patrick Mahomes had 11 total turnovers. He had 13. However, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick Mahomes had 1 single turnover in the 4th quarter this year. And that single turnover was that Hail Mary interception against the Buffalo Bills. Would you really hold that against him? I wouldn't. When you look at Joe Burrow, when you look closer at the numbers and you watch the games this year, you will realize that there were plenty of games that he could have won for his team and he lost it in the 4th quarter. I'll explain for you. Let's speak specifically about the Chiefs game. Let's speak the 2 games with Baltimore. And let's speak about the game they lost with the Eagles. Now, in all those games against quality teams, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Burrow had critical turnovers. Even though his numbers were great, especially against Baltimore, he had, in total, I think he had, against those teams, he had 1 interception, folks. 1 interception against in those 4 games. However, he had 4 or 5 fumbles. And listen to this, folks. In all those games, he had critical fumbles in the 4th quarter that led directly to scores for the other team. He had a fumble return for a touchdown, and he had interceptions in his own territory, which led to scores for the other team. Now, people are not going to look at these things when they're fans. They're just going to look at the fact that he had 42 touchdowns and 8 INTs. But when you have critical turnovers in crucial moments that hurt your team, ladies and gentlemen, you are at fault for those games. And now listen, it's not like those games were not close winnable. He lost by a point to the Chiefs. He lost by 3 points to the Ravens and 1 point to the Ravens. He did lose by 10 to the Eagles, but that was because he had a critical fumble return touchdown in the 4th quarter. Now, you have to take these things into consideration when you understand the sport of football. Also, the very first game of the season, Joe Burrow put up 10 points against the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots, who have the worst record in football. He put up 10 points against them. And they are now 1 game out of a playoff position. Now, if you're talking about valuable, well, I know it's Pro Bowl, but if you're talking about Pro Bowlers, you also have to talk about the impact that they have on winning. It can't just be raw stats. And then when you look closely, they also have critical errors that cost their teams winning game. And that's what I have seen from Joe Burrow this year. No way Joe Burrow should have been a Pro Bowler. Also, of his 42 touchdown passes, you had about, I think it's 8 or 9 of them came in the 4th quarter when his team were down by at least 2 scores. And in none of those games did he ever tie or take the lead. Even though he got the ball back with a chance to tie or take the lead, he never did it in any of those games. So when you look at his numbers overall, yes, they look good. 42 touchdowns, 8 INTs, it looks great. But when you look closer at the numbers, you see that there is no way he should have been a Pro Bowler over Patrick Mahomes, who this year had 1 turnover in the 4th quarter, like I said, which was basically a Hail Mary against the Bills, was the best QB on 3rd down. He led 8 game-winning drives this year in the 4th quarter. 8 times he had a game-winning drive. And I ask people this. Let me ask you this, folks, and I want you to think about this. If Patrick Mahomes is not a Pro Bowler, right? Who is responsible for the Chiefs' win this year? Because according to the Pro Bowlers, the Chiefs had one player on defense that made the Pro Bowl, and that's Chris Jones. They had 3 players on offense. It was the 2 guards and also Travis Kelce, who led the Pro Bowlers in votes, by the way. Now you ask yourself this, folks. Was Travis Kelce more important to the Chiefs winning this year than Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely not. Travis Kelce is a shell of himself, and he did not have a great season. However, because of the popularity of the fan vote, he did make the Pro Bowl. When you look at the overall Chiefs team in context and you say to yourself, the Chiefs had 1 defensive Pro Bowler, 3 offensive Pro Bowlers, and only 1 skill position offensive Pro Bowler, 1 skill position, then you have to wonder, how could Patrick Mahomes not be the main driving force of them winning 15 games out of 16 games? It's absolutely ludicrous. It makes no sense. And I do understand the fact that, this was the first year they had fan votes, and I get that. But at the end of the day, you have to have some credibility towards what you're doing. Patrick Mahomes was the main reason for the Chiefs winning this year, along with some solid defensive play and some good situational football. I understand that he started slow the first 6 games. He had 6 touchdowns and 8 INTs. But ladies and gentlemen, let's put that into context. He lost both his starting wide receivers and his starting running back, and he was basically playing with a bunch of backup people. When the Chiefs made some moves, they brought in Kareem Hunt to shore up the run game, and then later on, they also brought in DeAndre Hopkins to help him out with another pass option, and also the fact that he was getting the rookie Xavier Worthy up to speed. What happened the last 10 games? The last 10 games, Patrick Mahomes had 20 TDs and 3 INTs, the best touchdown to interception ratio in the league. And by the way, as I said, ladies and gentlemen, one of those INTs was the Hail Mary against the Bills, which nobody will hold against him. In the overall context of understanding what it means to be a Pro Bowl or what it takes to be valuable to your team, Patrick Mahomes was far more valuable to his team this year than Joe Burrow. Absolutely. But as I said, I said to some people, this will be more motivation for Mahomes, because going into the playoffs, this is going to be scorched earth tour for him. I'm sure it will be, because, having been snubbed like this, I'm sure he's going to play at least 2 of those quarterbacks, maybe at least 1 of them, and maybe 2 of them in the playoffs. So this will be more motivation for him to go up against them. And based on how the Chiefs look right now, I can't see any way they're going to beat the Chiefs. So kudos, kudos to Mr. Mahomes and his great season. But shame on these Pro Bowl voters. And I think they will pay the price coming up here in the playoffs. He will put them to shame. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, share, and help us grow the channel. Peace.